A lot of new investors are attracted to wholesaling because it's a fast, low risk way of making income, or it's perceived to be fast. A lot of gurus out there are going to tell you can just get into wholesaling, it's easy, you're going to make a lot of money and there's no risk on the table. Although there is significantly less risk in wholesaling, on the other side it's much harder to find wholesale deals. So the amount of marketing you have to do is far more intense than any of the other forms of real estate income. One of the keys to wholesaling is finding a motivated seller. Without an extreme amount of motivation, most sellers will not be able to fit the program that you need them to fall into. The second step after doing all of the marketing to find out where the seller is booking the appointment, going out on the appointment, getting them to agree to a price that's significantly lower than what another investor is going to pay. This way, in between, you can get your spread. Once you've gotten it under agreement, you now take that contract and you go and you sell it to another investment buyer, a buyer who is interested in that market, that type of property. So building a buyer's list ends up being a huge part of your success as a wholesaler. Having motivated sellers, connecting them to buyers who are also motivated, looking to invest, is the marriage between the two. You want to make sure that you're focusing all of your energy on first finding the buyers, because without a good, strong buyer's list, you could be finding properties that you'll never be able to sell. So the motivated seller is key, but it's secondary to making sure you have a buyer who'd be interested first. And then only hunting after properties that somebody you know would buy. The only downsides that we see to wholesaling is that you go on many, many appointments, and the amount of people who the deal actually works for, because it has to be bare bottom pricing, is absolutely desperate people, and there's just not as many of them as some of the other categories. So when it comes to flipping, where instead of wholesaling the deal, you would just buy the deal for yourself and flipping it, or rental, which can pay the most amount of money for a deal, or agency, which again is selling to a renter, they can actually pay the most. Those categories allow you to make more transactions, whereas wholesaling, you get a much smaller amount of transactions you can do. The positive to wholesaling is you have almost no liability whatsoever. You sign your contract, very low deposit, and then if you can't close, all you've lost is your deposit. Very small amounts. Whereas if you've closed on a flip and things don't work out, you could lose thousands of dollars, be stuck with a property. If you close on a rental property, now you're dealing with the management of rentals. And as an agent, if things don't work out, you've made no money, you've lost nothing, but at the same time, if something happens on the transaction, you could always be sued. Whereas with wholesaling, there's so little liability and so little risk. So it's a great way to get into the business if risk is your major concern. Also, your income can be significantly higher because you're negotiating not based on percentage like a real estate agent would. Your income can be very high on the spread if you're able to get the price low enough and you're able to find a buyer whose price is high enough. So depending on the size of your network and how many people you're talking to, if you can get the spread really wide, you can actually, in many cases, make more money than a real estate agent would on that transaction. And I want to be very clear about this, the real estate agent will likely do far more transactions and in the long run probably make more income. By having both the wholesaling option and the agency option, now that's a double shot.